All right, it's November 15th, and we have a lot of Epstein news to talk about that has kind of exploded in the past few days. So, Trump orders probe into Epstein's ties to Bill Clinton. U.S. President Donald Trump has ordered an investigation into sex offender Jeffrey Epstein's ties to prominent Democrats, including Bill Clinton. So, has to do with part of the 20,000 pages that were released from the Epstein files. And everyone knows that Bill Clinton is heavily involved and participated with Jeffrey Epstein. And basically, I think Trump is just doing this to put his name out of the association because in a lot of these emails, Trump's name is in a lot of them, which is why he was trying to hide it. But the thing is, if Trump has nothing to hide, then there's no reason for these to not be released. I mean, all of the Epstein files, which isn't even all of them because obviously they destroyed some probably. I just don't believe Trump is involved because the Democrats would have used this to put him away. They tried to kill him, they tried to jail him. All they needed to do was expose one single document with Trump and Epstein, and he wouldn't have even ran for president. So obviously, there's no dirt on Trump, but Trump does know Epstein, and he did hang out with him a lot. So obviously, in all the Epstein files, Trump's name is going to appear a few times, just because that's association. But we'll see what happens here. I mean, it would be very wild and what's the word? It's probably not likely that Pam Bondi is going to actually do something about this. Because this is the same Pam Bondi who said the Epstein files are on her desk and she's going to release them. And then 2 days later, she said, there are no Epstein files. I never said there were. And then all of a sudden, now there are Epstein files and now they're looking at it. So I just don't believe Bondi's going to do anything about this. I got to be honest. But we'll see how Trump responds to Pam Bondi's insubordination because he's telling her to do this. She says, okay, yes, thank you. We're going to look at this and all this. Yeah, in a few days, something else will happen, and Pam Bondi will probably try to diverge from that. I don't trust Bondi at all, so we'll see. Trump might have to fire Bondi because she's not going to obviously do this. She's not going to, indict Bill Clinton. So if Trump could fire her and put someone in charge that's actually, decent, that'd be nice because, yeah, Trump, I hope you don't forget about this tweet because Pam Bondi's going to hope you forget about this in a few days. But I don't think that's even going to happen because the media is just going off on this Epstein thing with Trump. So Trump will be reminded about it every day. So we'll see what Pam Bondi does. She might do something just to say she did something, but I don't think she's going to be indicting Bill Clinton. I mean, that's kind of a stretch. And speaking of Epstein, new Epstein files revealed Jeffrey Epstein directly coached Dem Rep Plaskett by texting during congressional hearing with ex-Trump attorney Cohen. All right, so that was a lot, but this is true. I actually didn't really believe it at first because I just thought like there's no way. But yeah, so basically during there's a hearing about Trump's lawyer, Michael Cohen, you know, that weird, strange guy. Um, and when he was being asked, Representative Stacey Plaskett was literally she was texting Jeffrey Epstein, and Jeffrey Epstein was texting her on what questions to ask Michael Cohen to try to make Trump look bad. Yeah, so that's a real thing. It's on video, and it's confirmed. And isn't that insane? Jeffrey Epstein was live texting Congress representatives while they were questioning Trump's lawyer and what questions to ask. Talk about sabotage. I mean, talk about infiltration. So it's just insane how people are saying, like, I mean, the deep state is saying, like, Epstein's not an intelligence agent, even though that's the only thing he's ever done in his whole life other than rape little kids, is being intelligence agent for Congress people, senators, you name it. And so that's just insane that he was texting her what questions to ask. Your representative that people voted for is taking orders from Jeffrey Epstein. So this is a real story. It sounds fake, but it's true. So I wanted to show you that. And then even more Epstein fun. So Friday Night Meltdown. Trump yanks MTG endorsement, mocks Massie's remarriage after wife's death. So Marjorie Taylor Greene texted Donald Trump telling him to look more into the Epstein files and naming Bill Clinton and Hillary, by the way. And Trump went crazy. He went on Truth Social and basically said, I'm disavowing or I'm not endorsing MTG. He called her wacky Marjorie. That's the new name. And yeah, so they had a little feud. Basically, Marjorie wants Trump to release all the Epstein files. Trump is saying no, and that's where we're at. And obviously, Thomas Massie has been saying this for a while. He's been very big on opening the Epstein files. But we'll see what happens here because remember, when they first were going to release the Epstein files, that's when all hell broke loose. That's when the Congress went on their month early recess, suspiciously. And then right after that, the government shut down. And then now that it's open and now that recess is over, now they're going to actually open a lot more Epstein files. I mean, they already did 20,000 documents the other day. So is the administration going to try to stop that? Because the past few times they've tried to release the Epstein files, the Trump administration has stopped them. Whether they shut down the government or allow it, or they send them to recess, all this stuff. And yeah, so this just looks really bad for Trump. I don't think he really understands how big this Epstein thing is because he's really trying to put it under the table because his name is in a lot of these documents, so he doesn't want that bad press. Um, but you know, he probably shouldn't be going after Thomas Massie or Marjorie because they're both correct. Um, you know, going after Massie's next wife is kind of a low blow. Um, so this whole Epstein thing is really dividing both parties. But Trump needs to release all the Epstein files just so that we can see that there's no real connection between him and Epstein. Which I believe because the Democrats would have used this years ago to destroy Trump if there was any evidence. But Trump is doing everything he can to make himself look guilty. I mean, I don't think he understands just how big of a deal this Epstein thing is to the country. And he's probably learning now. And he's probably going to have to get to a point where he just releases all of them by himself just because the media will just keep asking him every day and trying to connect him. So we'll see what happens. Politics is politics. I'm sure Marjorie and Trump will be friends again in a few months because they're going to have this bill that they both agree on and they're both going to endorse each other. It's going to be great. Um, but if Trump doesn't release the Epstein files, it's just going to look bad for him his whole presidency. You're in your first year, release it now, get it out the way, so that the next 3 years we can focus on your accomplishments, and that way the Democrats don't have an excuse to connect you to Epstein. So Trump has to do something because Bondi won't, and Marjorie and Thomas Massie are going to vote to release it. So it's kind of like Trump should just do this, let it be released. If your name's all over the place, that's fine as long as there's no criminal stuff, right? So we'll see what happens there. And then this was super interesting. U.S. tests thermonuclear bomb without warhead in Nevada desert. So Trump was talking about this the past few weeks. They were going to test some nuclear warheads However, I don't think this is like the main one. I think Trump is going to do another one where he's going to like televise it and it's going to be this huge news story because that's what Russia did. And I think he was a little jealous. Um, so, yeah, but so this happened. They already tested one in the Nevada desert. Um, this one didn't have a warhead on it. But yeah, anytime you're testing any type of military uh, stuff, especially stuff with this magnitude, it's always scary. I mean, they've done so many tests in the Nevada desert. It's kind of scary. But like, man, do we really have to test these on our homeland? There's no other place we can go test it. Um, so yeah, I don't think this is the end. I think they'll do another test that Trump is going to advertise, and it's going to be this big thing. I think this was like the test for the test. So just wanted to let you know that the U.S. already detonated some bombs in the Nevada desert today. So isn't that just great? And then this is a big story. Tucker exposes Trump would-be assassin Thomas Crook's social media history, the FBI cover-up, and more strangeness. Shout out to Howard. Um, so basically, Tucker Carlson had this documentary, basically just completely proving the FBI wrong because the FBI made a lot of statements about Thomas Crooks, saying he did this and then he didn't do that. And Tucker Carlson basically just went one by one and proved them wrong. Like, for example, they said he had no internet history. I mean, what young person doesn't have an internet history? Like, are you serious? They tried to tell you that this 20-something-year-old kid didn't use the internet. That's just 2 plus 2 equals 5, I guess. But that was just one example. And Tucker was showing like a lot of his internet history that is real. And that's just one thing, but like there's so many things the FBI lied about Thomas Kirk's, obviously. Same with Charlie Kirk. And same with the other guy, Ryan Ruth. Um, yeah, so I highly suggest you go watch it because it basically just proves every single thing the FBI said was a complete lie. Not that you probably already knew that, but it's just insane how quickly they covered this up. Just like Charlie Kirk, I don't know which one was quicker. I don't know if they covered up that crime scene quicker than Charlie. I don't know. It's a good race. I mean, I've never seen a group of government employees work so hard after these two events to clean something up. So, yeah, Tucker Carlson is on the list right now. He's been pretty vocal against Israel, and then he's doing this. He's very vocal on Epstein. So Tucker Carlson's on the list. They definitely want to get rid of him, if you know what I mean. So keep it up, Tucker, because you're doing a great job. But yeah, I suggest you go watch it. And then just some headlines here. House Democrat texted with Jeffrey Epstein during 2019 Michael Cohen hearing. Yes, we just talked about that. Yeah, so that was a real story. I didn't even know that happened during the time in 2019. I just found out about this recently, like in the past few days. And I was like, no way, that's true. Yeah, it's true. Just as where we are in America. Eric Swalwell considering run for California governor. Well, he actually would win because California is a manufactured state to. It's a machine. If you're a Republican, you have a 100% chance you won't win. So yeah, if Swalwell ran, he'd probably win, to be honest. Prosecutor appoints himself to Fannie Willis election case after failing to find a single lawyer willing to revive it. Yeah. Yeah, they're still talking about this. Trump asked DOJ to probe Jeffrey Epstein. Yes, we saw that. I don't think the DOJ is actually going to do that. Um, it's very easy for Pam Bondi to send out a tweet saying, yes, we're going to look into it. But I don't think she's actually doing that. Chuck Schumer might retire in 28. Well, yeah, not a single Democrat person likes this guy, so he's definitely going to be out of here soon. Whatever happened to Gaza famine? Yeah. Trump DOJ sues to block Newsom's racially gerrymandered congressional map. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think that's going to help anything. I mean, the courts are so corrupt, they're going to go with Newsom all the way. Um, Democrat Rep LaMonica MacGyver must stand trial for assaulting federal agents at ICE facility. Yeah, she's not the only representative to do this. Um, Again, I don't think anything's going to happen. I mean, if she stands trial, okay, she ain't going to jail, as far as I'm concerned. Humiliated Dems forced to delete latest false claim about Epstein and Trump. Yeah, there's always going to be connections. Even if Trump were to release all the files right here, right now, his name is going to be in a lot of those files, and people are just going to have to use discernment. Like, look at the file that he has his name in. Like, I was reading some documents on the recent dump, the 20,000 pages, where they mention Trump, and it has nothing to do with anything. He's just like mentioned, and context is important because you can be in email chains and have your name mentioned, and you're not criminally, liable. So Trump's going to be connected to Epstein forever. It's just what's the context that he's in. DHS blasts California sanctuary law following fatal DUI by illegal immigrant. Yeah, it's California. I mean, they don't care. Um, yeah, Trump's gonna have to send in like the National Guard into California to get rid of all these illegals or something, because obviously California's not just gonna give them up; they're gonna protect them. Seattle Socialist wins mayor race after late ballot dumps and 8 days of counting. Yeah, so they had to rig it for her because they had to take 8 days for them to find enough votes. Find. So that's the second socialist mayor, and I think a third one actually won. I forget where. But like I said, this is the future of the Democratic Party. Mamdani's the spearhead, I guess. You're a lot of the next elections that you're gonna see. Most of the Democrats are gonna be running as socialists because it works. I mean, when they run a socialist, they win. So yeah, that's gonna be the game plan 2028 for sure, and 2026. Um, Vance will discuss 2028 presidential run with Trump after midterms. Yeah, we all know he's going to run. Let's see. DOJ drops hammer on Antifa after officer shot in the neck during ICE facility attack. Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen the DOJ do anything on Antifa. I mean, just because they dropped the hammer on this one person, that's not going to change anything. Um, Rollins' next step is to make everyone reapply for SNAP to ensure integrity. Yes, this is why this is good. So those who are applying to SNAP, they have to be citizens and they have to actually be approved for it. Um, yeah, they still got to purge a lot of people on the payroll though. BBC issues a humiliating apology to Trump for deliberately biased edit of his J6 speech. Yeah, I don't believe their apology. They did that on purpose. They just got caught. So that's the only reason they're apologizing. And Trump better not settle. He better sue them for the full amount. I mean, bankrupt that whole company. Seattle's new socialist mayor will be worse than Mamdani. That's actually true because Seattle, well, Oregon, or Washington, I should say. Washington is very liberal. I mean, so is New York. But Hochul has already said that she's not going to be able to do a lot of what Mamdani wants. I think the mayor of Washington will be able to help this Seattle mayor. Um, so again, this is just the future of the Democrat Party. They're all going to run as socialists because it works for them. Newsom blames climate change for slow rebuild of Palisades. Yeah, I couldn't believe. Well, I could believe it actually because it's Newsom. You know, um, yeah, isn't that insane? I mean, I'm not even going to talk about that. Discharged transgender Air Force troops sue to get pensions and benefits. Yeah, good luck with that. Indiana Attorney General subpoenas Amazon, sues Indianapolis schools over migrant trafficking. Wow. Yeah, so more AGs need to do that because obviously the schools is a big place that this stuff happens in. And ICE even came out with a statistic in certain gangs, um, the majority of the people are aged 14 to 18, which is high school. So that's why ICE goes to schools, by the way. JD Vance hits Fox News audience with a massive housing affordability truth bomb. Yeah, not really. I mean, the stuff that the administration is trying to push out, it's just like, I want to say temporary because the Trump economy won't be kicking in for another quarter or two. So he's just trying to appease the affordability crisis, like a 50-year mortgage. Obviously that's not a good thing, but it is helpful for people right now. And same with the car loans. In a couple quarters, that won't even be an option. I think the economy will be doing so well that a 50-year mortgage won't even be an option. Trump announces trade deals throughout Latin America. Yep, still making deals. That's all this guy does. Hardest worker ever. Walmart CEO Doug McMillon to retire after 15 years at retailer. Okay, I don't know why that's news. First economic data since shutdown starts to trickle out. Yeah, I mean, I think next year we're going to have a lot more better stable numbers because you have to understand when Trump came in, all those tariffs weren't really put in place right away. And a lot of those tariffs that were put in place were being changed. Like every other week, you see Trump is changing the tariffs here, Trump is changing the tariffs there. So I think starting next year, we're going to have our first full year of tariffs because it's really been like up and down this year. Because I mean, we're still making deals with countries. I mean, there's countries that we still have to make deals with and put tariffs on. So we won't really know the full tariff number until like next year, probably. Trump admin slashes major tariff after trade deal. Yeah, see, here we go. I mean, they're always going to be upping the tariff or lowering the tariff depending on how the company negotiates and what's the word? Get along. I mean, like Canada's a good example. We made a trade deal with them. They put out that stupid ad about Reagan and Trump's tariffs, and then Trump had to refinance that trade deal, and he ended up changing the tariff percentage in the U.S. favor. So that was just one example of one tariff that was changed over the course of a few weeks, and we're dealing with multiple countries doing this. So yeah, we'll see what the final number is next year. Disney drops DEI terminology from annual report first time in 5 years. Disney has to make major changes, otherwise they're going to go bankrupt themselves. Well, not really, probably. They have so much money, but they have lost hundreds of millions of dollars in the past few years, which isn't really much for them, but it is noticeable for them. I mean, we obviously know what's going on with Disney and ESPN. They just put Disney channels back on YouTube TV. Um, so Disney has a lot of things to fix, but unfortunately for them, if Bob Iger is the CEO, nothing's gonna change. So like they can get rid of this DEI thing, but like their next movies are still gonna be woke, as far as I'm concerned, because that's what Bob Iger wants. The pedophile, the head of Disney is the pedophile. Hope we knew that. Um, cut and dry, cut and dry. And he's the one ordering the content that your kids are gonna watch. The pedophile. So yeah, Disney's just dumb. They're not gonna do anything as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, that's kind of all that's happened. A lot of Epstein stuff. Obviously, this Epstein thing isn't going away. This is something that the left and right can both agree on. Um, Same with Israel. So like this is just one of those things that's not going to go away. Um, the press is going to be hammering Trump every day about this until all the files are released. So we're kind of waiting until Trump gets so fed up that he releases it himself. That's kind of where we're at. Because apparently every single person in the government is too afraid to do that. Every single one. Every single one. And I hope Trump isn't afraid to do that either. But I guess we'll see because it ain't going away. And yeah, we'll see what Marjorie Taylor Greene and Trump do in the next few months. This feud won't last forever, I'm sure. And yeah, that's about it. If anything else happens, I'll let you know. Till then, have a good one.